First of all, we have unprecedented access to respondents. We never had before. You know, thinking back 30 years, we had 2 hours in a focus group facility or maybe an hour or 2 in their home. And now, as you saw with Dana and some of the others, access anywhere, anytime. Thinking about our company and the changes that I've seen in terms of the moderator's role, study design has become way more critical because it's not that it never was, but there are so many choices now with technology and figuring out what is the best approach to a study. It used to be you had 1 or 2 choices, and you now have many. There's a lot of thinking through. And then the other thing is we're getting way more data. So qualitative researchers who have been used to a very small set of data are now dealing with what I would call qualitatively big data. And so our role as storytellers has become even more critical and more time-consuming.
I think it's way bigger than that even. I don't think everybody really understands what we talk about and what you're talking about when it says impact in access. I think it's way more than access to respondents and stuff. And I mean, just to prove a point, in 10 seconds or less, if you were to say, we'll use snacks, because that was the thing that stuck out in your presentation, right? If I was to say, give me on mobile, via your mobile device, how you define snacks or what you're thinking about when snacks come to mind, something visual, and I go, you know, how fast and how many responses do you think I could get in 10 seconds? You ready? I just got 792,353 photos. Right? I'm serious. Of snacks and cookies, and then you can look and see the contextual evidence of what people are also posting on Instagram, because that's why I went, right? And then you could say, oh, it's easy if it's snacks, because everybody says snacks, but I have a brand. I want to know about certain types of snacks, or I have a liquor company. So you go to Bacardi, and what do you get? 300,000 hits on Bacardi, right? And then if you go to Bacardi Raz, Bacardi O, X, Y, and Z. So the pure scalability of it, I think that's why the whole thing that intrigued me about this panel was this whole redefinition aspect, that it's not about respondents, it's not about opt-in, it's not about all this qualitative, quantitative, it's about access to people. And I think what we're doing now, which differentiates us from the data side and the analytics side, is that we provide contextual evidence, and we provide contextual insights, and then leading to contextual intelligence, where we're ultimately going. And I think that's the unprecedented piece. It's extremely, extremely interesting to me, at least.
Susan, can you build on that a bit? If you can grab the mic from Ben. Contextual evidence, what does that mean to you, and how is it impacting your business?
Contextual evidence? Well, you know, there are beautifully delivered layers of information now that are available. So instead of going through a straight focus group or a series of IDIs globally, you're able to add to it using hybrid research. You're able to add context from in the moment, from well-considered, from planning ahead, or looking back on your shopping trip. And when you put all of these together, what you get is that experience map that so many are looking for their brand.
Thank you. Moving on, it used to be that a brand would design or have a need to do market research, so it was led by brands. Now, market research is being led by consumers. What does that mean to you, and how is that impacting our field?
I think, well, so consumer, it's interesting because we live in the, you know, I forget which speaker it was today, was talking about Gen Y and millennials looking for the flawsome brands, right? Brands revealing their kind of, their dark side or their flaws and things like that. And I think that it's interesting because we're at the point to where, right now I think it's about even, if you were to measure it up. But we're at the point where consumers know just as much about us or more, and are seeking to know just as much about us or more than we are about them from a brand side. And I think for us that's interesting because in their quest to find out more about a brand, or in their quest to find out more about us, we get a whole deal and a whole plethora of information, right? About what's important to them, what's meaningful to them, how do they go about searching for these things, what information do they want to see on your website, what information do they want to see in your product. And so just by measuring their quest, it's like almost doing research on the researcher, but the consumer is the researcher. We get a whole different view and contextual sort of view of where things are going and what our products and services need to be. And I think that's what's, you know, that's what's cool about what you're talking about. I think that's one of the most compelling points that's out there right now.
Just on a very simple level, because you're way above me on this. I would not have known how to get those 793,000 pictures in 2 seconds. I would have figured it out in a few minutes. But we're listening more and doing a lot less question asking. And I think that that's been a huge shift for most of us that have been in the business a long time, maybe less so for you.
No, I
because
think that's huge, because, I mean, QRCA was my very first day on the job, right? And it was all about learning how to ask questions. And so if you think about it, I've been in, 5 years now, and I think, which makes me feel like I'm actually getting older and I'm not like the young guy in there. Thanks for the validation. But seriously, it was still about asking questions and how do you form the right questions. But now it's about what questions are they asking? And I think that's what's really cool, because now our role as researchers changes. And I think, you have people that, the data collection piece is easy, right? Seriously, it's becoming it's becoming automatic for the most part. So for us, what you have to ask yourself, what value do you really add? And that's one of those things, you turn the lights off, you turn the desk lamp on, and you sit in your journal and you say, what value do I really add to the process? And what can I really charge for? What can I really build a business off of? And when you look at it, it's not the moderating, it's not this. If you're a tech company, it's your innovative technology, right? If it's how do you get closer to the amount of data that you need to get in a quicker fashion, right? In a more efficient fashion. For us, the qualitative researchers in the room, whatever you want to call us, it's what kind of intelligence can we bring to those insights and analytics? And that's it, right? It's not how you ask the question, it's not what questions you ask, it's what do you do with that information, right? We're starting to put the methodology sections of our report. I was just talking to Susan about this. We're putting the methodology sections of our proposals in the appendix because the client doesn't really give a damn, right? They want to know, here, do you understand my questions? And what are you going to do? How are you going to answer it? What are you going to do to fulfill those questions that I have? Not how many groups are you going to do? How many online groups are you going to do? All that. I mean, they don't care. It's just help me solve this problem as a partner, not as a V word.
Ask me another question. What was the question again?
Okay, moving on to another question. Okay, there's also some thought now that the lines are blurring. It used to be very separate, qual versus quant, and we're starting to hear more and more of a convergence of the two. Comment on that, particularly with your business. You do very much work in both sides. So how do you see that going forward?
Well, the dirty word 15 years ago was quali-quant. We're going to do a quali-quant study. Do y'all remember that? And then we transitioned to the multi-methodology project. And now, actually, the trend has been over several years and will continue to be to hybrid research. And there are various levels. There's everything from taking a single project, what feels like a methodology, doing a quantitative study, and then plucking out some of those key individuals based on an algorithm that is crafted either before or during the quant project, and bringing them out for a longer discussion, a more sophisticated and complex understanding of their position or their perceptions or their challenge, their life challenge. We love that hybrid is something that clients really understand and appreciate, because ultimately it gets you, the client, closer to that answer, which is what is it that must happen for me to get my product or service to be on the short list that the customer has, so they'll choose us above any others. And I think the additional tools and platforms allow you to do that. And sometimes it's a process of working with the client in the room. Oh, bless us all. 20 years ago, the client was never in the qualitative room, right? And now we want the client in the room or on the discussion board or out there on the chat platform to see all of this happen, because they gain a more granular and clear understanding of what really pushes the customer's buttons and what the customer's points of pain are that they can resolve. And hybrid actually allows you to do that. Mm-hmm.
When I think of blurring of the lines, I also think of social media and social media listening. Is that qualitative data or is that quantitative data? And it's, in my opinion, it's qualitative data on a quantitative scale. And what ends up making the difference is how you look at the data, what you do with it, how you analyze it. And you can analyze social media data quantitatively or qualitatively, And I feel like that's one of the ones where we haven't figured this out yet, but I think it's a huge blurring of the line.
I was going to say, when you think of blurring the lines, for me, it's not a qual-quant question, because I think that those lines are already blurred. Like, I think it's just one, and I think we're the only ones kind of holding on, speaking to ourselves about that thing, right? But I think it's more marketing and insights blurring. I think it's more, because where does one start and where does one stop, right? If I'm on there and I start an Instagram account and I start asking people about, I don't know why I'm on an Instagram kick today. If I'm on whatever, asking them about, you know, what your favorite stuff is, it's also brand loyalty. It's all stuff. If I'm on a community, I'm building brand loyalty. You're kidding yourselves if you're not marketing to people in an online community that's branded, right? Or you're building category loyalty if it's not branded. You are, right? So blurring those lines of marketing and insights and intelligence, blurring the lines of you know, where that customer entry point is and where that point of sale is, where that moment of truth, or if you want to go to zero moment of truth, or whatever the kids are calling it nowadays. I think those lines are coming across, where that moment of activation in the consumers is, because is it digital, is it in person, is it the POS, is it post-purchase, what is it? So I think those are the lines that I think, if we're looking forward, those are the things that we need to be looking at, right?
Thank you. I'm going to use this opportunity, since this is a QRCA session tonight, to have the final question be QRCA specific. And I would like each of you to address, what have you personally gotten out of QRCA, and why should those in the audience consider either working with QRCA members or joining if you're eligible?
QRCA, without question, has elevated the profession of qualitative research. The fact that as an organization we share and we have these kinds of discussions and we have the different perspectives, I think has made us all better researchers. Rephrase that question.
What can the audience get out of working with a QRCA member, or why should they join if they're eligible?
You should join if you're eligible, because the pace of change in our business is so fast, and it's so hard as an independent person to keep up with it if you don't have an opportunity to sit and focus on that change and learn and grow. I would highly recommend it. After being a member for close to 30 years, I don't think Ben was born yet. But it's great because he has a perspective, because he's grown up in the digital age that we don't, which is invaluable to all of us. I think it just lifts us all. And why you should work with people who are qualitative research QRCA members is because we are keeping pace with change. We can bring such a broad range of tools and techniques and ideas to you as clients that you might not have time to be seeking out yourself.
So let's go to the much younger member on the panel.
Thank you for saying younger and not inexperienced. No, I think the thing that, to be completely honest, right? The reason I'm involved with QRCA has nothing to do with getting me more clients or getting me more work in that aspect. For me, have I gotten more clients, to qualify that as a caveat? Have I gotten clients? Have I gotten work from it? Absolutely, right? When I started my company, the first business I got was from other QRCA members. But I think, for one, when you work with QRCA, you get a group of people that are extremely passionate, not just practitioners, but passionate people about what they do. So they do it better than anybody else out there, to be completely honest. The second thing is that as innovative and as people try to push things and everybody's trying to find what's new, you will never meet a group of people that is first going to say, okay, I'm interested in what's new, but freaking prove it to me that it has some value first. And I'll tell you this as the kid that was talking about social media and all this stuff, and how I was going to revolutionize the way we were doing research in 2008 and 2009, that they were like, that's great, you sound great, you look excited, and I don't understand half the stuff you're saying, but prove it to me that it has any value, right? And they force you to do that. And I think if I'm a brand partner, because I think if we're going to stop asking us to call them us suppliers or vendors, we stop calling them clients, right? If I'm working with a brand partner that is looking for something, that if I'm a brand partner and I'm looking for a partner that's a research partner, that's what I want. I want somebody that's going to push me out of my comfort zone, but also show me the value in it and show me the why, and then being able to back it up and explain exactly why, because we're a very, very thorough group of people, right? Guilty as charged. But I think that's the value right there. And as a member from a research partner side, you're never going to get a better group of people that you're going to learn from, and there's zero protectionism and any other BS that you get with a lot of different organizations. You all know that I go to every conference and every organization out there, and I'll tell you right now, there's nothing out there that's as open and sharing as this group of people. Amen?
Amen. Okay, and finally, our president, Susan.
Why
She's
not?
not biased at all.
Thanks. I also go to all the conferences you go to.
This is true.
We've got to stop seeing each other like this. I know his entire wardrobe, he knows mine. It's terrible.
I know. We did. We worked on this, yeah.
She tweeted me.
So, the value, since I was about 2.5 years old, according to my parents, I've always wanted answers. I always said why. I wanted to know now, and I wanted to know first. I'm one of those who's not necessarily on the bloody, dripping edge, but I'm pretty close to leading edge, and if I can't, I work with partners who can. If I don't do it personally, I work with partners who can. Partners who usually, or frequently, if not almost always, come from QRCA if it's qualitative. The other blessing is that you do get in the early time, on the early edge, on the early years, on the early months of new technology. This is an organization whose members really hustle to stay at the forefront. And I don't know about you, but I really don't want to use old technology and old methodology simply because I don't know how to do anything else. I would much rather be able to co-opt, adapt, include, engage, all those other resources. This is an organization that makes those resources available to its members early in the process. And that's really exciting for branding partners.
Well said. Thank you very much, Susan. To wrap up our panel, I'm just going to say a couple QRCA things. On the chair already is your QRCA views. We encourage you to take these with you. You can get these, subscribe to these for free and get them on a regular basis, now via mobile as well if you prefer to read on your iPhone or app, or iPad, excuse me. QCAS also, first Thursday of every month at 12 noon is a webinar that QRCA puts on, totally free. You can sign up at your convenience, 1-hour training opportunities from your desk. Next up, August 1st, is the one on social media privacy. And then we have September 1st is one more on innovation and qualitative. These keep coming. The conference is coming up in October 16th through 18th in San Diego. And new this year, if you are the person that works mainly in qualitative research in your job, regardless of being independent or not, you can attend our conference this year. That we're opening up the doors, and we encourage you to consider it. We welcome you. With that, we're going to swap out gears. Let's give out a hand to the three panelists, first of all.